let's start with number 1. You might think that you know what you're doing, but maybe when I go over the problem, I'll indicate something that will make it a little bit easier for you in the future. What's the key word in the instructions for the first 2 problems? Oh, underline it. Underline keywords this year. You will get partial credit just for doing that on some tests, just for underlining what it is that's being looked for. What is the slope formula? What goes on the top? Y's on the top, and that's why we're doing this. Just to jog your memory a little bit, the Y's go on the top. Do you know why they go on the top? Just because some guy decided that's the way it was going to be. It could have been X over Y. He just decided to put X on the top. What do we call that? What's another way of using words? I heard rise over run. I recommend that when you get your points, you actually label them. This is, this is x1, y1. This is x2, y2. It doesn't matter which one you make point number 2 and point number 1, as long as you're consistent. If you choose to write down this 9 first, then you better write down this 7 first. This is how I teach my classes, and this is how I do these problems. When I'm in a class, I write the subtraction and the fraction bar before I do anything else. That way, I do not confuse this with any negatives that show up there. So I write subtraction, fraction bar, subtraction. Now put in the numbers. What goes on the top? 9 or negative 7? 9. Negative 7. What's the other y? Negative 2. Then I've got 9 minus 9. What do I get on the bottom? 0. Negative 7 minus negative 2, negative 5. What does that mean when you end up with a 0 on the bottom? Can you divide by 0? Undefined. What does that look like on a graph? Okay, he said it this way and you went like this. One of those is right.
This way across over here.
So off to the side for this one, just draw that. It has no slope. What you think to yourself is, Giovante, can you walk up a cliff? No. So undefined. It has no slope. Jump to number 3. And if I move too fast, let me know. I'll slow down. We got plenty of time today. For question 3, y equals 3x plus 3. Write down y equals mx plus b underneath. You ask yourself, to begin with, is y alone? Is the y all by itself? Yes. So I can move on. What does m stand for? More specifically, slope. Write down the word slope right above that. What does the b represent? Since everything lines up, that means that this is this. That means that this is this. What's the question asking for? Underline slope again. What's my answer to number 3? Whoops, not B. D. You got a 3 there, right?
3 eggs.
Oh. Jump down to number 5.
Are you sure?
Say it again?
I don't know which you did.
All I did was line up that with y equals mx plus b. The m is the slope, therefore that 3 is the slope. Whatever's in front of the x. What was the answer to this question for number 3? Was y alone in number 3?
Yes.
Yes. Is y alone in number 5? No. When I say alone, and this is good, put a line right there. I tell all of my algebra classes to put a wall in the equation. When I say is something alone, I'm saying is it all by itself on that side of the wall? Is y all by itself? No. Down here, leave some space, put y equals with y all by itself. That's your goal, is to change that to the point where y is alone. How do you get y by itself? Subtract 2x. I got to get rid of this. But I've got a wall here. If I don't put the same thing on the other side of the wall, then it no longer balances, it no longer is an equation. So what do I have to stick over here? Minus 2x. What was the point in doing this? What did this accomplish? Is y by itself? Beautiful. This side can look a couple different ways. I can write this as 2 minus 2x. I can write this as negative 2x. Is the 2 in front positive or negative? I can switch the order of things, and it's exactly the same way. Which one of those appears in your answer? Choice C. And it's this version right here. You got to be able to move chunks of information around. We've got a 2 that's positive. We've got a minus 2x. I can move that stuff around. Jump to question 9. Next page. Look at your answer choices. Look at, don't even look at the graph. What is A, B, C, and D? What are those things? Are they points? Are they numbers? Are they equations? Equations. Write that down. It's not in the actual question, but that is what you are looking for. Do you have a little bit of space underneath? I want you to write 2 things, right? M equals and B equals. You're going to be doing this all year long. You need a slope. You need a y-intercept. How you get it is up to you. You can use formulas. We're going to have to use some substitution for the ones down here. But for this, when it's right in front of you on the graph, when it's right in front of you on the graph, we are going over some of this right now. I need a slope. How do you get a slope when you're looking directly at a really simple graph like this? Alright. What if it's something simple like this? Do I really have to do a formula?
No.
can I just count?
Yes.
So how do I get from here, do I go up or down? To get from here to here, do I go up or down? Down. If it's down, that's negative. How many spaces do I move from here to here? And then how many do I move over? That's the rise and the run. Put that in the drawing. Write down rise, write down run. If the numbers are simple enough, why not just count your unit blocks? So now I have an M. What does B represent? Y-intercept. What's the y-axis intercepted? This is x and this is y-axis. Let's draw a line from here to here. That's where it crosses. If it's simple enough where it's a whole number, why do work when you can just look at the graph? Write that down. Is that my answer? I need to convert that into an equation. So the m goes in front of the x, the b goes at the end. Is there an answer that is y equals negative 2x plus 2? So this ended up right here, and this ended up here. Yes? A little bit louder because you're in the back. I can't hear you. You can write it this way, but is it written that way in the answers? No. So we just had to convert that to look like that. Question 11. Are all of our answer choices equations for number 11?
Yes.
Yes. Write it down. Write down that word, equation, or is it actually in the directions? It's actually in the directions. So underline it. Double underline. What two letters did we write down before? Do it again. The nice thing is that we already have one of those. Which one of those do we already have? Which is what? 3/2. So I've got that. I don't have the B. Do I have a graph in front of me? No. So I'm going to use an algebraic method. I'm going to write this down first. Y equals mx plus b. How many letters are you actually looking at right here? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 variables there. Which one do we want? B. So it would be good if I could put numbers in for the rest of it. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put plus B here because I'm looking for it. I got to put something in for this, and for this. Do I have the M? When you write it down, put it in parentheses because that's what you're going to do with it on your calculator. Every time you have a fraction, use parentheses at the beginning and at the end. It'll actually look like this on your calculator. Where am I going to get an x and a y from? What else is given in the problem? We've got 4 and 2. Label it x and y. That's why it's given to you. It's given to you so that you can put more numbers into this equation. What's going to go here? Nope. 2 here, 4 here. Remember the order. Did you put a wall into your equation? I always do that. Get in the habit of doing it. If you do these and you know how to do these, do whatever it is that works for you. If it's not working, try to do what I do. We got a 2. Put that in your calculator. Do parentheses 3 divided by 2, parentheses times 4. And what do you get from that? 6? We still have plus B over here. What is the point of this? The point of this is to get this b out of this mess. So down here, write down what we're trying to do. We're trying to get the b by itself. What's going to accomplish that? What do I have to get rid of from this side? How do you get rid of it? Subtract it. What does that accomplish? That gets rid of this from this side. We kept the balance by putting it over here. What's 2 minus 6? -4. You now have enough information to make your equation. Y equals 3/2 x minus 4. This goes here. This goes here. Does that match up with any of the choices? Which one does that match up? Nope. But typically this year, that's as hard as it's going to get. That's as long as the work is going to be. When you get to factoring, you're just going to have to go through a lot of options. But if you know what a number is broken down into, like 30 is broken down into 6 times 5, 2 times 15, 3 times 10. If you know those factors, then it's easy. If you don't know those factors, then it's a lot harder. Is this choice B?
Yep.
Skip to question. We're skipping all the way through to 33. The ones with the exponents, I want to know whether or not you remember. I'm not going to go over those. I want to see what you come up with for the exponents. Jump to 33. How many people remember scientific notation? What do I do? 33. What do I do, Jaleel?
Move the decimal.
All right, I'm going to move it. Do I stop here?
I can tell you, move it three places here, right?
3 places. Why did he go 3 and not 2?
Because it's going to be a real number.
Because you want a what?
A real number.
You want a whole number.
Yeah, a whole number.
You want a whole number that is less than 10. So it's got to be more than 1. Write this down if you don't know it. More than 1, less than 10. So if I moved it one more place, I'd end up with 80. I don't want 80. If I had one less, then it would be 0.8, and that would be less than 1. So that's good, 8.07. It's always to the 10 to some power. How many times did we move the decimal? We moved it 1, 2, 3 times. That goes here. You write down whatever you end up with, 8.07, times 10 to how many places you moved it. Is that one of my choices? Choice C. So we want this number right here to be more than 1, less than 10. If it ends up being more than 10, then you got to go back and figure out how many times to move the decimal. Skip to 45. Nope, you guys are going to work on the rest of this during the rest of the period. I'm giving you the hints to help you with each section, except for the exponent section, which I want to find out exactly what you remember. How many people remember how to simplify radicals from last year? Sometimes it's perfectly fine. I know that I can simplify this because I know this list. You've got a lot of space off to the right-hand side here. We're going to write down, what's 1 times 1? What's 2 times 2? 3 times 3? 4 times 4? 5 times 5? 6 times 6? What comes next? 8 times 8? 9 times 9? 10 times 10? What's 11 times 11? 12 times 12. 13 times 13. 169. Now, you can keep going forever, right? These are all perfect squares. Which one of those divides 27? Which one of those numbers will divide evenly into 27? You got a calculator, try it out. I heard 4 and I heard 9. If you divide 27 by 9, what do you get?
3.
You get 3. Now, is 9 the biggest number? We want the biggest number that goes into 27. If you divide any of these others, they don't work. Why did we do this? We did this because we know the square root of 9. What's the square root of 9? You write it, once you find a square root, you get rid of that square root value. Is this in this list? No, so I just rewrite it. This one becomes a 3, this one stays the same. That is considered simplified. This is a little bit important this year. Next year, it's more important because what we're going to do is take these numbers and maybe radical 27 will be the length of the side of a right triangle. And maybe you'll have to do Pythagorean theorem with that. This year, we just want to be able to manipulate it. How do I know that that's right? Do you have a calculator? Where is the square root key on your calculator?
Oh, right, like the X squared.
What color?
You gotta press second.
You gotta press second, you gotta press x squared, then put in 27 for me. Tell me what this is approximately as a decimal.
5.196.
All right, 5.19. What does it mean when two things are next to each other? What operation? What's going on between the three?
Multiplication.
Put a multiplication symbol in between. Put that in your calculator. Do 3 times radical 3. If you don't get 5.19, something went wrong. If you get 5.19, it might be right. Doesn't mean it has to be right, but at least you're on the right track. So is this the same as that? Do 3 times radical 3. Do you get the same thing? Yeah. That's something that helps you check, and it's also a last gasp ditch effort. If you have no clue what's going on, maybe you can take your answers, type them in, and see if you get the same thing as the original. If you don't get the same thing, you can rule out that choice. Not all tests will be multiple choice, but if they are, you do what you can. I've given you some hints now. Go back. I need you to do the rest of this. You've got about 45 minutes. Put all the work you can right on there. Don't just circle an answer. Khalil, you need a calculator. Yep, take that deal with my name on it. Is this starting to jog your memory a little bit? Yeah, what you did last year.